We're at the Chicago Auto Show with Subaru, and they just unveiled the all-new Forester Hybrid.
So a big problem for a lot of manufacturers, not a lot of hybrid options, and they leaned on Toyota to come up with something that is really quite unique. You take Toyota's technology and you marry it to Subaru engineering, and you come up with a hybrid system for Forester that is really quite different than what everybody else is offering in the marketplace.
What we do know for Canada is that it will be offered in one trim, and that is the top trim. In the US, there will be many more hybrid options. There's also a couple things that differentiate from the US to Canada. You'll notice that the badging in the US says hybrid, and in Canada, it will say e-Boxer.
Okay, so base model Forester in the US, no hybrid available, but all other trims will get it. Canada, only the top most expensive trim, which is kind of a puzzling decision. We asked a lot of questions about this, and they said there's more going on behind the scenes than they can tell us at this time.
There's no pricing for Canada, but for the US, we do have pricing. It has an MSRP of $34,995. We also have fuel economy for the US. With up to 581 miles of range on a single tank of fuel, the 2025 Forester has an EPA estimated rating of 35 miles per gallon in the city, 34 miles per gallon on the highway. This is an improvement of 10 miles per gallon in the city. And also in the US, with so many more trims available, you won't have as many features on some of the trims, so that fuel economy number will vary. While in Canada, it's going to be on the top trim, which is going to contain all the bells and whistles, so the fuel economy might not be as good on that top trim.
Yes, you got a heavier car, different wheels, that will affect it. But either way, a 40% improvement in fuel economy is what people are looking for. People are really marching towards hybrids, and it's nice to see that they have one in one of their best-selling vehicles, in the size of vehicle that people like, and in a product that is really loved. We were told here today in the presentation that this has the highest score of any SUV from Consumer Reports. It's on their top pick list, all those things that people gravitate towards the Forester 4.
Yeah, Consumer Reports gives the 2025 Forester a score of 93 out of 100 for reliability. So those are big numbers for Subaru with the Forester. Now, we do know that the Forester Hybrid will hit dealerships this spring, so you don't have to wait too long for it.
Okay, on the outside, there's no real tell other than the badging, and they have put some badging on the front door and also around the back. As Andrea mentioned, it'll say hybrid in the US and Canada, it'll say e-Boxer, which is a name, by the way, they use in other markets around the world. It's not bespoke just to Canada. It's interesting why they go with different things north and south of the border. People ask this, but we don't know. But you know what? From 10 feet or 10 meters, you're probably not going to know it's a hybrid.
No, you're not. And let's talk a little bit about the powertrain. It's a 2.5 liter Boxer engine, a 4-cylinder. It's matched to a CVT. It has 2 electric motors and a combined 194 horsepower.
So with the gas and electric power together, you get 18 extra horsepower and 24 extra pound-feet of torque. The electric motor produces 118 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque all on its own.
The battery in this hybrid is a lithium-ion battery, which is located under the cargo floor. Unfortunately, you do lose the spare tire because of the battery. You get a tire repair kit. This also comes standard with advanced eyesight driver assist technology, hill descent control, and X mode. Guess what? Subaru has kept its symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive model for this hybrid. Something like the RAV4 hybrid or the Mazda CX-50 hybrid has an electronic all-wheel drive system. This was super important for Subaru to make sure that they kept the symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Many people buy Subaru because of that all-wheel drive system.
Okay, so a little techie talk here. So the way that Toyota does it with their hybrid system is they have an electric motor and a generator, and that does the front wheels. And then to power the back wheels, they have a separate electric motor. What Subaru does is they have a drive shaft that runs from the front all the way to the back. So the wheels are mechanically connected, and in between they put the electric motor. So it's done differently. Toyota has no drive shaft. Subaru does for their symmetrical all-wheel drive. It also simplifies the system because they have one less electric motor.
Yeah, and also the RAV4 Hybrid and the CX-50 Hybrid, they have eCVTs. This is a CVT. The Forester Hybrid has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, and that is one of the reasons why consumers love the Forester, is that extra ground clearance. But the great thing about it, with its large doors, it's so easy to get in and out of. It's got a good step-in height, so if you have any mobility issues, you'll find that it's easy to get in and out of. Well, there's not a big difference between this Forester Hybrid and the gas models, with the exception of a brand new 12.3-inch digital driver display. On that digital driver display, you could show your eyesight features. You can also see navigation and Apple Maps. This is a standard 11.6-inch touchscreen in Canada because we only get the one model and it's the top trim. This is available in the US as well. And there is something interesting that you'll notice between the new Forester Wilderness model and the gas Forester and hybrid models is the center console is different. The Wilderness model has a different center console with a different shifter. And the reason for that, it's sold exclusively in the North American market, and US consumers prefer that center console over this because of the cup holder layout. The upholstery in this top model has got some Alcantara and a leather combo. You've got a panoramic sunroof with a manual shade. And then you can look at the dash, and it has some different textures here and some copper stitching and copper here. It's more like a brushed copper look, which actually looks pretty nice. You've got your wireless charger, 2 cup holders. Storage I've always found in the Forester not to be huge, but I will say that it is deep. Door pockets, once again, not a bad size, not as wide as maybe I would expect. There is a fair amount of piano black in here. You've got it at the center console, around the screen, and on the door handles. You'll notice the Wilderness model has a lack of piano black in that model, so it's interesting to see the differences between the two. This is the top trim. Heated and ventilated seats are in the screen. That's where you control climate control. There's no hard buttons. And then there is driver's seat memory with 2 settings for this hybrid model.
So to recap, in the United States, all but the base model will have the hybrid available. In Canada, it's only the top trim. Now we get into the pricing and availability and what we know and what we don't know.
But what we do know in Canada is that top trim starts at around $48,000 with freight, PDI, and fees. So obviously we expect this hybrid model to be more. Zach and I are thinking over $50,000. So it looks like it's gonna come in around CRV hybrid pricing. I do hope that Subaru Canada revisits that when it comes to trims. Another difference between the CX-50 hybrid and the RAV4 hybrid is the combined horsepower. Combined horsepower for those two models is 219, where this is a combined 194 horsepower.
It all comes down to drivability. I mean, we're going to have to drive it with the drive shaft connected and that instant torque, and not relying on a small electric motor at the back will make it drive differently. So we have to wait until we can get ourselves behind the wheel of this, which is going to be sometime in the spring. This is going on sale second quarter of this year, which means we don't have long to wait until the Forester Hybrid hits the road.
So that's a first look at the Forester Hybrid. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you see, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.